In this brief video, I'll be showing you how to use the software package NetLimiter. It is quite useful for a number of purposes, in particular in relation to monitoring what's going on the network as well as adding restrictions to that. So basically, you can download a free trial of this software. It is actually relatively cheap. It's under €15 to buy, but I think you do get a 30-day trial if you just want to test it out, or you need to complete it as part of your assignment. Okay, so as an overview of the software, whenever you install it, which I'm not going to go through the install process, it's pretty straightforward. You click next until it's complete. And the reason I'm not going to go through that is I have it installed, I actively use this software, and I have a license for it myself. Okay, so basically what this package is used for is it gives you an idea of what applications on your computer are using the network, both in terms of download speed and upload speed, which you can see in the video, the two sections highlighted here. Along the left hand side here, we've got a list of all the applications running or that have recently run on my computer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at some of these and see what we could do to them. And we're going to discuss why that could actually be useful on a home or business network. Now, what I will say is there are more complex packages than this, which can be used to do the exact same thing for large numbers of computers or a network simultaneously. We're going to just look at it for our one computer because it's much easier to work with and understand. Okay, so if I go through this list, I can go down and I can find my web browser, which is Vivaldi. So that should be under the letter V. And you can see that right now, my Vivaldi has an upload speed of 180 kilobytes per second. And I can confirm that this is something that I would expect. It's something that I should see right now because I'm actually uploading files to the Moodle platform as I record this video. It's just that my internet is particularly slow today, so that's the speed it's maxing out at. But you can see there is some data being uploaded, and if that data was to cease uploading, that number would drop. Similarly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to force a download on another application. So what I'm actually going to open up is a thing called JDownloader, which can be used to download files of pretty much any type. And I'm just going to click for start on a file. Okay. And once I've done that, let's just actually see. Is that doing its thing? It is. Okay. So that is now downloading. So let's actually look for it here. And that's the JDownloader launcher. Okay. You can see it's starting to flash up a little bit there. But let's see what it says for our download speed. It says that right now we're downloading at 163 kilobytes per second, which if I actually glance over at the application, those numbers are pretty accurate. So if I scroll down, let's see if I can actually find, yeah, you can see it there. It's sort of hopping in and out of displaying it because it's doing it in chunks, but you can see it is actually reflecting the download speed of that application at this moment in time. And if I go back in now and I stop that download, that should now go away. Okay, it might just take a moment to actually end it, but that should be that now done. So why might we want to use this on our network or on our computers? Well, very simply, it tells us everything that's running on our computer, a bit like our task manager, but it also shows us what is interacting with the network. And if there's an application that's actually slowing down your network or internet experience, this should highlight which applications are using it and therefore allow you to work out what's causing it. And more importantly, it allows you to address the issue. So for example, what I could do is I could add a speed throttle to any application on this list. So if I go down here to say JDownloader again, if I just tick this box quite simply, the maximum download speed that this application will allow JDownloader to obtain is 5 kilobytes a second. So if there's something we don't actually want to outright stop using our network, we can just lower its maximum speed to a predetermined number. As you can see, that's now 5 kilobytes per second. I could also do the same for an upload speed. And now JDownloader will not exceed 5 kilobytes up or 5 kilobytes down. Now, that is very useful to have because sometimes things like Windows Update, we can't stop them outright. But maybe, especially if you're on a slower internet line or there's something important happening on your computer or you're doing something which has high demands for download speed or really low, super low latency, for example, gaming, we might want to just limit the speed something can use in the background, seeing as we can't outright stop it. And that's what this application allows us to do. Now, if we wanted this to continue downloading, but say we wanted to watch a YouTube video and this was maxing out our internet connection, what we could do is we could raise that to a more sufficient number. And we can do that by clicking on the limit. And you can see here we can set the limit to anything we want. So I can say this will not exceed 2 megabytes per second. And that is the maximum download speed. So that is actually a reasonable download speed for a modern internet connection. But if I have only 5 megabytes and I want to watch a high quality YouTube video, I might want to limit this. So this application is not just useful for educational purposes, but it actually is a useful utility to have on your computer, especially if you have high internet demands or you have poor internet service. So I'm just going to turn this back to where it was before. And that would be 5 kilobytes. There we go. And I'm going to turn those off because I will totally forget about that later. Alright, so basically, if you have a virus attacking your network, you should be able to pick it up in this list because you'll see its activity. So for example, if I wasn't sure what the Your Phone Was application here, I could do a little bit of Googling and find out, is that a valid application? Similarly, if you go up top here and click on application list, we can actually see the name of the applications running. And you'll see Your Phone will be listed down there as well. Now, I've done a little check on Your Phone, and Your Phone is actually a legitimate Windows 10 application for interfacing with your mobile phone. But of course, if you weren't sure of that, this application might facilitate you in working that out. Okay, so do take a close look at a list like this here, the application list, and see if there's anything on that it sounds unusual or suspicious. And that's a good way to find out if there's a malicious application running. But of course, the application that's causing issues with your network might not even be malicious. It could simply be that you're using an application that's misbehaving or just downloading more in the background. So for example, I know that if I turn my Xbox on and tell it to download a game, it doesn't matter where else in the house I am, what device I'm using, my internet might as well be disconnected for that time because it will use 100% of my connection until that file is done. Now, this particular application won't help with that because this is designed for Windows PCs, but if you had a similar issue with a Steam game downloading, just throttle it, using the exact same principle here under activity. Similarly, whenever you add any rules in, you can view those here. So you can see there are the 2 rules I defined for JDownloader, and you can see they're currently both disabled and the value is 5 kilobytes. The filter list, if we want anything kind of being filtered in a special way, we can go in there. Network list, it gives a list of all the different network connections on this. Blocker, we can outright actually block access to the internet and just allow local network connection if we wanted, just by ticking on the word unblock there. And priorities, this is quite useful as well. What you can do is you can set the network priority for everything using your network. And therefore, if you've got something particularly important running on this PC, you can define a rule for it and state, this is important, please prioritize all work for it. So I could say rule type, priority, and zone, internet, and for, I could define a service there, just basically pick an application from my computer and set its priority to high. And therefore that application will always get priority on the network over anything else. So rather than having to set up a bunch of rules limiting speed, we could simply just prioritize the one we do need. Okay, so with this application, how could you use this in conjunction with an assignment? Well, basically what you need to do is you need to look at this list on your computer and have a look at what sections are popping up in black. Black means that there's currently activity. And work out, is there anything that's behaving unusually? So basically take some screenshots and analyze the data. You might find, oh, the only thing that's actually showing any evidence of being used is my web browser, and you can see a small number popping up there. It's nothing to worry about. And that's great. What you found is your network is actually functioning normally and healthily on your computer. But this is a great way of diagnosing it. So used along with tools like Wireshark, which lets you actually inspect the messages, and IP and port scanners, which will let you look at what connections are allowed in and out and what devices are active. You can easily work out what services are running, how they're communicating, the contents of the messages, and how much of your network they're actually using. So between all that information, you should be able to diagnose any potential network issues and rectify them using this collection of applications.